Hello and welcome along to the Champ.ie podcast on the eve of the Cheltenham Festival, joined by Mr. Andrew Blair White of the Blair White blog. Good evening, Andrew.
Hi, Barry. How are you?
I'm very good. Just now two more sleeps now as we're recording. Ronan Groome from the Irish Field and back, I suppose, from his Cheltenham night appearance in Dundalk there last week. Good evening, Ronan.
How are you, Barry? All is well.
So, lads, I suppose we're going to take on part one of the Cheltenham Festival, where we'll do day one and day two, and then we'll wrap it up and come back in then for day three and day four. We'll start with the Supreme Novices Hurdle, Andrew. I suppose lots has been said, lots of preview nights. I'm interested in, I suppose, your opinion on this. I think it's quite a strong race. Shishkin now the 11-4 favourite at the moment. The algorithm, Alan Doyle, puts him £11 higher than any other novice in Ireland or England. That's on time and on the algorithm time figures. What's your thoughts on Shishkin as the favourite and the race as a whole?
I'd be a big fan of Grade 1 form over height, I suppose. But that being said, with Shishkin, I don't like making big comparisons, but there is a bit of Altior about him. This idea of kind of coming to the last, and Nico de Boinville gives him one hit and away he goes. He's been extremely impressive, but he hasn't been beaten much, so it's hard to know. I know Ronan's very sweet on Asterion Forlonge, and I'd be similar myself. I think he's just a rock solid horse, and one that I think hasn't been talked about too much, but I think is a very good each-way bet is Fiddlerontheroof. Again, bringing Grade 1 form into the mix. I think he's around the 7-1 mark. I just think he'll be there. I think William Hill are paying out 7 places for the Supreme, which is absolutely bizarre. But, it does hook you in, I suppose. And 7-1 about Fiddlerontheroof is a good each-way bet. But I'd be siding with Asterion Forlonge as my main one.
7 places. There must have more money than sense. Ronan Groome, thoughts on the Supreme Officer? We obviously know from the preview night that you're a massive Asterion Forlonge fan. Would you be worried? One question, if I was on the panel the other night, I would have asked you, would you be worried about his jumping slightly to the right at Cheltenham?
Yeah, possibly. But he has only had the 2 starts over hurdles, so you can look at it in a negative that way, I suppose, but he could improve for that as well. He's jumped slightly to his right at Leopardstown and still won impressively by 9 lengths. And there's also the scope that he could actually improve and jump a bit straighter next time now that he has the experience. Yeah, look, I just think he's rock solid. I see the market is kind of correcting itself now. He's slightly favourite on the exchanges, the exchange market that's opened up for the race, so he's just edging it now. Look, yeah, I think the big thing with him is he's so similar to Willie Mullins' previous winners of this race, the likes of Classical Dream, Vautour, and Champagne Fever, who all took that race at Leopardstown and then came to Cheltenham and were prominent racers who did it from the front. And that's what he's going to do. He's going to race prominently. He's pretty simple to ride, I think. I don't get all this thing of people saying they think he's slow or whatever. He's won a Grade 1 over 2 miles. I mean, and it's going to be more of a stamina test at Cheltenham anyway. And they often say you need a stamina horse to win the Supreme. I just think he's pretty rock solid. Look, Shishkin is the Time Boys like him a lot. People saying he doesn't have Grade 1 form, but he probably just hasn't been given his chance yet. So there's every chance he will be good enough. But as Andrew said, I think you take the Grade 1 form over the potential at this point, and that's why I think Asterion Forlonge is rightfully favourite now. I don't know what you lads think of anything at a big price that might come in. It's interesting. Willie's putting in Berkshire Royal to run first time out here, which is a bit mad. And Captain Guinness, I think, is one that could run well at a big price, fast pace. The way he raced the last day, when he finished second to Andy Dufresne, he really caught the eye there, racing keenly.
Performance was I suppose Andy Dufresne is maybe slightly let the form down. Just you mentioned one of the bigger price. This race I think is very competitive. It's the first time I'm going to boast on the podcast now tonight, lads. Shishkin, 20 to 1, sorry, 25 to 1 for the Supreme put up at the start of the year by my good self. So, no, listen, lads, on the day, though, I do think, I'd worry for his experience in the race. I think it was 9 of the last 10 Supreme Novice Hurdle winners. 10 of the last 11 winners, with the exception of, I think it was Lebec, had won 4 times over hurdles. So I thought that was an interesting stat. I'm not a massive man for the stats, but just, I know, Ronan, I was speaking to you a couple of weeks ago, and you were saying that, I suppose, trainers nowadays, they're more, I suppose, targeting a horse to one particular day, so that maybe might be less of a worry. But the likes of Fiddlerontheroof, I thought, was taking Abacadabras as well, was ticking plenty of the boxes. Would be worrying, I suppose, about Abacadabras' jumping. Andrew, heard you flagging that up as a negative some weeks ago as well. But Fiddlerontheroof, I think, for me, is a solid one here, and he's probably the one I'll play on the day. I think Andrew, yeah, right, he does represent good each way value, and solid, I suppose, early season form behind Tyne Hill, Edward Stone as well. And I think as the experience, he looks progressive as well, so there's probably more to come. Soft ground as well. People are saying that he done it all on heavy. I think soft would probably be right up his street, and I think he does stay as well. One of the bigger price on the day that I might play is Elixir Dane. Be interested to see if the money comes for him. Obviously, his form with your favourite son, Envoi Allen, Andrew Blair White, at an ace, and I think they've got his season completely wrong. I think he is a 2-miler. They tried him at 2 mile 6 the last day. He was far too keen and more or less came to a walk. I think come back in here, soft ground, 2 miles. I think you might see money for him on the day. And in a race, I suppose, that Willie Mullins has had 6 of the last 7 races. Willie Mullins has at least trained 1 horse to finish in the first 2 in the race. So he might represent good each way value, Elixir Dane. Lads, moving on to the Arkle Chase. I suppose Notebook. I questioned the form of the first maybe 3 in this race. Notebook, Fakir, and Cashback. Is there anything, Ronan Groome, at a bigger price you'd like to put up for the Arkle Novices Chase?
I did mention it on the preview night, Esprit de Large. Just slightly worried why hasn't he run since that Sandown run, but that I thought that was actually quite a good performance and good and done in a good time that kind of measured up quite well with the Tingle Creek, which is on the same day. Maybe it's the case that they've just had the plan that they will hold him back and run him here. But I did think he was interesting in a race which isn't. Would you say it's a vintage Arkle?
No, I think it's a poor Arkle.
Sure, it is. Look, Notebook is the right favourite. I'd say he's won all the right races. I thought I did think the discrepancy in price between him and Cashback was probably too big as well. I mean, what you're backing there is Willie basically to find a half a length of improvement with a less exposed horse in Cashback against Notebook, and it's all about Cheltenham for everyone, of course, but Willie's record at Cheltenham obviously sensational. He would have had a race like the Arkle or the festival in mind for a horse like Cashback. And
I thought the interesting thing actually was David Mullins said it on the preview night the other night that when he got beat on Cashback at Fairyhouse at Easter last year, Ruby pulled up and Ruby mugged him and straight away pulled up and turned to David and said, "How did he jump?" And David says, "He jumped grand," he says, and he'll take some peg, and he says, in the Arkle next year. So David said he saw nothing to change his mind, I suppose, this season to change his mind. Obviously, he's been a progressive sort. Andrew, Ronan flagged up Esprit de Large at a bigger price. Are you, I suppose, taking one of the top 3, or would you be going with something slightly bigger?
Yeah, well, I quite like Cashback. One who I suppose isn't in those top 3, it'll still be not a big price, I suppose, is Brewing Up a Storm. I think he's got a good chance here for Ollie Murphy. Ollie Murphy's very sweet on him. He thinks he's his best chance of a winner throughout the whole week, which, considering he's got a few decent enough horses to go to war with, is saying something. The one I'd be really against in this here is Fakir Duderee. I see absolutely no way he reverses form with Notebook, and I think you'll actually find a couple of these too good. I have a theory with him that in these top races, he just always finds a horse or two too good. Like he won a Grade 1 at Fairy House. That was only because Sam Crow fell. He hasn't won a Grade 1 apart from that. He was found out in all the big races last year. I just see that happening again in here. Notebook is he's grand, I suppose, but I'd be with Ronan. I think there's too much of a difference between him and Cashback in price, considering it was a half length and Cashback missed the second last. So I just can't see that. I think both once they both have that Kempton form from Christmas, Global Citizen and Rouge Vif, I think they're both very good horses. I'd just be concerned the two of them are both flat track horses. So I'd be just a bit tempered by that. But I think they're both good. But it would be Cashback, but probably more so Brewing Up a Storm for me in the Arkle.
Fair enough. Not so much the flat track now for me, Andrew, on Rouge Viv. I think I see why you think that, but I'd be more concerned about the ground for him. I think he is a good horse, and I think the Kingmaker. He was an impressive. What did he win? 7 lengths to the Kingmaker the last day. The trainer says he's going to be better on better ground. So he has took a bit of a drift on the exchanges around the last couple of days. So he was the one I was liking for it, and I'll probably still play him on the day. I think he's a good horse. I think one of the stats, actually, the one stat, as I said already, I'm not a madman for the stats. When it comes to Cheltenham, it's worth keeping an eye on maybe 5 or 6 of the top stats. One of them here, 142. I think 18 of the last 20 horses have been rated 142 over hurdles or higher, which I suppose Rouge Viv was a high rated horse. I think he was rated 142 or 143. So he comes into it, I suppose, based on his hurdles form. He's translated. He's done well over fences, and I do think that he could be a good each way play here. And I'll probably still play with him. Not a massive fancy, but as I said, Rouge Viv for me. Champion hurdle, lads. Everyone looks to be having a go here. Andrew, I'll come back to you on this first, because Ronan will probably be moaning for about half an hour about Honeysuckle not running. But we'll come to Honeysuckle later on. Handicap. I think there's 17 runners here, Andrew. What way do you see it going?
Well, I've probably got as good a chance of picking the winner as anybody here. I remember actually being on this podcast when Ronan put up Super Sunday at a big price, and to be honest, ever after he said it, I kind of got it into my head. I suppose he's been a bit of the wise guys each way horse for this race now, but I suppose he's one of the very few Grade 1 horses in this race, I think. So I think he has to have a chance. And I'd probably give Darver Star. I'd probably play those two against the field, both at each way prices. I think, because I know you're quite sweet on him, Barry, this Core Sublime. I reckon we're going to come down the hill at Cheltenham at 2 out, with Pentland Hills and Core Sublime both absolutely tanking. And from 2 out to home, it will be a battle between the two of them as to who finds the least up the hill. I just can't have either of them, to be honest, and I'd play those Darver Star and Super Sunday for me against the field.
Yeah, just coming on to Core Sublime. It's supposed to be done an unbelievable piece of work there in the Curragh. Just at the back end of last week. He's a horse, obviously, I was thinking maybe he might even go to Slayer's hurdle route at the start of the year. And when he came out and down Royal and done what he did, I was blown away by that performance. I know he Cocoa Beach. What has Cocoa Beach ever done? But no, look at even Ruby Walsh said it in the aftermath. Like the way he won the race, the way he travelled, the way he jumps, he just absolutely laughed at them. Coming on to Christmas, then you guys all know I put him up to beat Classical Dream. Both of them fell in the hole. But Core Sublime, I think, has had a genuine excuse. He's had a wind up since, made a bit of a noise. It's been well documented. Just wouldn't give up hope on him. And in a bad champion hurdle, he's the one I'm with, in good form by all accounts as well. But just not to forget as well, good little Fusel Raffles, who also bombed last time and had some lovely juvenile form last year. Espard Allen showed everyone that 5-year-olds can win the champion hurdle. So just wouldn't rule him out at, he's actually even a shorter price. I don't know how he's shorter than Core Sublime, but he is. But the two of those against the field for me. Ronan Groome, thoughts?
5-year-olds definitely can win, but they just don't win as often I don't know, as they should, but the stats against them
Yeah.
are bad. But
Excuse me. Either do 10-year-olds and you're going to put up Super Sunday.
I'm getting onto that. Hold on. If you remember the stat I said on the night, which I actually quite like, the 101 5-year-olds since See You Then have tried, and only 2 of them have won. And the one catch it won, and it was a very bad renewal. And this is a very bad renewal. So that said, I don't want to back Penton Hills at like 5 or 6 to 1. But when you're getting 14s about Course Sublime, that's a price that you could look at. I like what they've done with Course Sublime. I think backed off him after Christmas where he disappointed, give him a wind up. And if you remember back to last season, he was kind of this talk up horse, and everyone kind of knew about him. He was expensive kind of purchase off the flat. He beat Southern France at Navan, I think. And Chris Jones bought him, or Gordon bought him somewhere. And everyone was kind of expecting, he was disappointing. And then when he went to Cheltenham, he produced easily his best run of the whole season when going down to Penton Hills in the Triumph. So if you take that improvement in form for Cheltenham and back Gordon to have just worked the magic with him at home, or done the right thing, he is a price here in what is a bad race. I will let him try and make a case for Super Sunday. Look, he's just solid, and as Andrew says, he's the Grade 1 winner here, the multiple Grade 1 winner in what's a bad champion hurdle. I think if he's with them down the hill and can stay when the pace increases as they come down the hill, and if he's thereabouts, nothing will stay better than him up the hill. He's really rock solid over when the going gets tough, and it's a tougher kind of 2-mile trip than it will be at Leopardstown, and he always needs his first run. So I think Jessica's just backed off him this year and said, right, let's just have a go with the champion hurdle, giving him the run at Leopardstown. And this is his time of year. He always comes into his own. He's done me a good turn on a number of occasions Super Sunday. So he's up there. If he can win a champion hurdle for me at that sort of price, then he's up there with my favourite horses. So yeah, 10 isn't a great stat for 10-year-olds in champion hurdle, but this isn't a usual champion hurdle. So I think you're allowed to have 2 against the field here, and my 2 will be Super Sunday and Course Sublime.
Thank you very much, Ronan Groome. I actually remember you putting up Super Sunday as potentially going down the champion hurdle route in the Anti-Post podcast, or the season preview podcast way back in October, if my memory also serves me correctly. Lads, handicaps on day 1. Actually, first of all, before the handicaps, just a one-word answer: Benny or Honeysuckle? Ronan Groome.
Benny.
Andrew Blair White.
Benny.
I'm undecided. I actually do not know who's going to win that. Handicaps, day 1. Ronan Groome, you definitely have, I suppose, 1 or 2 big price ones here that you want to mention.
Yeah, I was literally just going to sit down today and have a right go at all the handicaps for the week. I just haven't had a real time to look go. There are a couple that I am interested in the Ultima. Do you remember a horse called Townshend that used to run in the Ritchie colours for Mullins?
That's right, yeah.
Moved to Nigel Twiston-Davies and is in here now, coming off the back of 2 wins. On off a mark of 142. He used to be rated higher than that for Willie in Ireland. I think he's 146, maybe 147.
Yeah.
So he'd be interested me in the Ultima. And of the other races, Hold the Note for Mick Shannon and Johnny Burke's been booked to ride. Obviously won this race with Mr. Whittaker. That's the novices handicap chase. He appealed to me in that race. Hold the Note jumps really well. And could probably, like a lot of horses in this race, has been laid out and landed on the magic mark of 145, so he gets in at the ceiling rating. So they were 2 early ones that I had in my mind, but I suppose I'll have a better look at it as we go on.
I'm going to jump in because I think Andrew Blair White might have one that I like here. Vindication, lads, 159. I think he's one of the bets of the Tuesday. If not the best bet on Tuesday. He hasn't ran in 129 days. I get that. He was his second run back after a wind up. He was a stonewall certainty, lads, at Ascot, off 151. up and down Royal the same day, and he was backed in from something like, I think he was 9-2 into 2-1. We were all on him, and there was a big cheer went up when Vindication went in. I just think he's a Gold Cup horse running in a handicap 159. There's definitely more to come from him. He had a little bit of a setback, I think. But I don't think it was a big one. I just think it ruled him out from. He's probably been saved for this then ever since. Soft ground 3 miles. I think that's ideal. Another one as well is Beakstown in a novice handicap. I was hoping they ran the Carjack had run, but I think the ground is probably not to his liking. So Beakstown is my selection for the novice handicap. He's 139 over hurdles. He's also 139 over fences. This horse looks like a chaser. He is a chaser, and I think he's been laid out for this by the Skeletons. Andrew Blair White, shoot.
Yeah, I'd be with you on Beakstown. I've been with Beakstown the last couple of weeks now. Just, they can't have thought that this was going to end up being a 139 rated chaser. I think, when we rang Dan Skelton the other day, he was very, very disappointed with how his chase career's gone so far. I think they had him more down as a JLT horse than running in this.
Yeah.
That's just the way it's gone. If his jumping holds up, he'd have a great chance. And one, I suppose, the Irish don't have a brilliant record in the Ultimate, but I just love Discorama in this festival form.
What is it with you and Paul Nolan? Can you answer me that?
I absolutely love Paul Nolan. I have no idea why.
Do you want to go organise a stable stories with Andrew Blair White for Champ.ie down in County Wexford now in the next couple of months? I'd be more than happy to let you down.
Some of my great bets have just involved Paul Nolan for one reason or another. I remember even Camino winning at the Dublin Racing Festival last year, and I was on at 20s. I don't know how, but it just happened. But no, I've always liked Discorama. He was very unlucky last year. He's been second the last 2 years. That's the form in these big handicaps is massive, I think. I'd be wary of Vindication, but 159 is a big ask. It's a really big ask in a race like this. He would be up to it because I wouldn't be against you. I don't think he's far off being a Gold Cup horse. But he'd need to be to carry 159. And Discorama just looks quite well weighted. I think they've done his wind since running at Limerick over Christmas. And it'd be great for Paul Nolan to get a winner on the first day.
Yeah, just on Vindication, I anticipated that he would be running this year's Gold Cup, and I thought he might. I thought that's the way the season would go for him, and that he would be one of. But he was. I think I backed him at something like 125, a crazy price, 125 to 1 for the Gold Cup back in October. So, look, and I do think it is a big ask, but I think he's only a 7-year-old, and I think fresh and well in here, top weight, David Bass on board. I think get up that hill in front, Vindication. Day 2, lads. We're on course. I'm doing a Desi Scal on it here now, trying to get this day 1 and day 2 done in quick time. Ballymore, novices hurdle, day 2, Andrew Blair White. You're going to be down there licking your lips in the pre-parade ring as Envoi Allen is passing you. You've been a massive Envoi Allen fan all year round. Why is he unbeatable in this?
It's just the form lines. He just does everything you want him to do. I was lucky enough to be at Fairy House when he made his bumper debut last year. And even then, he kind of looked like in a bit of trouble turning in, but then went on to win easily. And the likes of Port Stanley and Jason the Militant were well behind him that day. I did... before the preview night I was doing some kind of pointless fact checking and stuff like that. And 30 individual horses have come out to win a race after being beaten by Envoi. 30 horses. He's only running 7 races under rules. I just don't understand how people can go in against him here.
You're setting yourself up for a big fall now, Andrew Blair White, but I'll let you continue.
Well, I don't know. A couple of weeks ago, you were against Envoi and Paisley Park. I don't know what's going on, Barry. These are absolute certs. I just can't. Unless this horse falls, this horse will win this race. Sporting John's a good horse, but he beat Master Debonair last time, who couldn't stay 2.5, and to be honest, wouldn't be seen would be completely mapped in a Supreme or a Ballymore anyway. So the form of that's not brilliant. And he's won a couple of races around Exeter other than that. The two big horses, the big getaway and the big breakaway, it'll just be too early in their development, I think. I think they're 3 mile chases down the line, and the rest of them wouldn't get near the top couple in the market. So Envoi here, and it's the people like you, Barry, that are keeping this horse at odds against, which I am absolutely loving. Thank you.
I could be a poor man. Oh, no, listen, Andrew. He's done everything as a bumper horse. Absolutely everything. He's done everything he's been asked to do. In the words of Brendan Duke, he's done everything he's been asked to do this year. Listen, the two horses, the big getaway, the big breakaway, I think they are chasers down the line. The only one I think that can beat him here is Sporting John at this stage. I think Sporting John, serious display at Ascot. You couldn't dispute that. On ground, I think softer ground, 2 mile 3. I suppose, look he definitely got away on McManus at Exeter first time up. I didn't know any of you guys see that. Ran at Exeter again, then won by 8 lengths. In a race, actually, Harry Senior, Ronan, you like him for the Bartlett, was on Sporting John's first, and I look at it, I just think he could be exceptional. He had a very good time based on, I suppose, the ground and everything that day at Ascot. Listen, Envoi Allen, he looks a cracking horse. The only thing I will say is I don't think he hit the line very hard, and his time wasn't wonderful at Naas, and that would be, I suppose, a worry for me for Envoi Allen coming up against a horse like Sporting John. I thought Chantry House was going to line up here. I kind of had my eye on him. Sporting John as well. I was hoping the two of them would, and I could get a double McManus blow at Envoi Allen, because I have been taking him on all year. I don't know, just something about him that just makes me think something is going to do him on the day. I could be wrong. If you still want to take that odds against Andrew Blair White, feel free to do so. Ronan Groome, you're with Envoi Allen as well.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think you two are the two kind of views that you can have on Envoi Allen. There's one view out there that he's just not as good as people seem, and he only does, and like he only wins by a length because he's not that much better, which is that seems to be the view you have, Barry. And then there's Andrew's view, who like you look at the form, you look at all he just keeps winning. He only does enough. He races efficiently, and he's really professional. And he just wins. I'd kind of be siding with Andrew in that way, because I think, yeah, you can mention the time thing with Envoi Allen and say, oh, he hasn't really done anything spectacular on the clock, but I think that's kind of to miss the point. He races, I think he's a type of horse who races so efficiently and does what he has to do and is all the more reliable and professional for that. And I just can't. He's one of those horses you'll be annoyed if you do take him on, because he might look at some stage where he might get beaten or something, but I can just see him pulling out more and just getting it done. I mean, I keep mentioning the champion bumper last year. If you go back and watch that, and Blue Sarri must have traded long odds on, because he just travelled into the race beautiful, came up there, looked like Garrity had to turn a foot to get by him, and then Envoi Allen just kept on going. And as he's showing now, that's just his racing style. He's a very hard horse to get past. You don't know where the tank is with him. I suppose that's the only. There could be more in the tank with Envoi Allen. Yeah. No, yeah, go on. I interrupted. What was Brendan Duke's remark about him? You won't. There's no use having what did he say? Model on the lap or something, and dying of hunger.
There's no use in having a model on your lap and you dying with the hunger.
So we might as well try and find something each way here. I think easy work, if you did want to take on Envoi Allen. I'm actually annoyed I didn't ask Busty the other night, does he definitely go here, easy work? But if I'm obviously a big fan of Asterion Forlonge, I think easy work finishing second to him is no disgrace over 2 miles. I think back at 2.5 miles, I think he could be a player here each way at a big price.
Is easy work not an absolute blast in the Coral Cup?
Is that where he's going? Did you read that?
Yeah, I think that's where he's going to go. He's in over 47.
Yeah, that would make a lot of sense as well.
Obviously, I think that would be a tip in itself for Envoi Allen that they don't want to run him against him.
Swear Chantry House should be going off 140 also. But anyway, no, just on the Ballymore novices hurdle, the one thing I remember, Andrew, I think it could have been a good 4 weeks ago at this stage, we were talking about Envoi, and I was, of course, winding it up. But the one thing I was going down to all the stats. He was ticking absolutely every box for this race. I mean, every box. I was getting worried. I was getting panicky. I was thinking, what am I saying? But when Sporting John came out at Ascot last time and done what he did, I said, well, that's the one for me. 100%. And then when I went back and looked at the times, and Envoi Allen, I think on the algorithm of all the novices this year, 2 miles, 2.5 miles, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He ranks 8 on the list of all the novices based on time figures of their best performances by the algorithm this year. Just found that was an interesting one. He's 8 down the list behind Master Debonair, Captain Guinness, Sporting John, Asterion Forlonge, Chantry House, Fiddlerontheroof, and Envoi Allen is sitting there in the 8th worst time.
But Barry, can you honestly look at me and tell me that Envoi Allen would lose to Master Debonair? Master Debonair would, he'd be pulled.
No, absolutely not. I'm just telling you what the algorithm is for. You can talk to Alan Doyle about his Excel sheet on the 8 points to play. That's just what I'm quoting. Master Debonair, has he been saved for entry? Is he actually on him?
He is, yeah. So
yeah.
He can be mapped in that race instead.
RSA Chase, before it gets any more heated in around here. RSA Chase, Champ, I'm going to make a statement. Lay of the week. Andrew Blair White, agree or disagree?
I don't think he's the lay of the week. He's definitely a lay, though.
Okay.
But the reason I wouldn't have him as the lay of the week is that if you were to promise you that he put up a good round of jumping, he will win this race. But he won't, though. He's not a good jumper. He's actually gotten worse over fences since his first start. His first start was his best, and he's gotten progressively worse. And the more I look at this, the more I can't get past Copperhead. I really like the way he's come through the ranks. He's got handicap experience. He's a really good jumper. And at the Reynoldsdown last day was an absolute procession. I'd be worried Allaho won't stay 3 miles. I'd be with Frank Hickey. I'd much prefer him in the 2.5 race. Manila Indo, I suppose, could come well on the day. But again, you're taking it on trust. He's beaten Captain CJ a length, and that's around it. So you're taking it a lot on trust. And to be honest, it's not a race where I see any of the outsiders really playing much of a hand, to be honest. So I think Copperhead would do for me. I see Harry Cobden's booked. That would be grand. Last year's winning rider this race. And I think he's around the 4 or 5 to 1 slot at the moment, and that will do me.
Well, if he gives Copperhead anything similar to what he did top of the game last year, there was probably the Ride Festival last year on top of the game. Yeah, Allaho, it's kind of thoughts on Allaho is wherever he goes, I'll be backing him. Wherever he goes, he wins. Don't think he'll have an issue staying. Coming on to Ronan Groome selection. Who did you put up the other night, Ronan? Can't remember.
Put up Manila Indo, but actually backed Slate House this morning on the news that Robbie Power appears, the way he's talking anyway, appears that he had a choice between Slate House and Copperhead, and very interestingly, seems like he's siding towards Slate House, who's obviously a much bigger price considering he's pulled up the last day. I think they think a huge amount of this horse. Obviously, they did to run him in that Cotswolds Chase, and I think was it you put him up earlier in the year, Barry, for something the Bet Victor? Was that you or someone else?
Didn't he fall?
Yeah, I think he was going to hose up that day off 147. Yeah. Subsequently, he took the Grade 1, the Cotto Star Novices Chase. Yeah, I just very interesting that Robbie Power would suggest that he was close to riding him ahead of Copperhead when you consider how good Copperhead was in the Reynoldsdown. So I just thought he was a big price there this morning at 20 to 1. So I backed him. Going to, like, I think Banana Indo is rock solid still as well.
Would you worry? Actually, just even on Allaho, right? I will admit this. I just does Allaho or Manila Endo have enough experience to be going into an Norris jumping? I mean, both of them have already ran it. Was it twice over fences?
Yeah. That's the same. I suppose that's the exact same as we were saying earlier on for the Supreme. This just seems to be the way it's moving now. It's just all about Cheltenham, and trainers are happy enough just to go there with 2 runs and have them cherry ripe on the day. You think a race like the RSA, you want to be fairly battle hardened, and it's not ideal. Champ coming in off a fall either, and not having run in 70 days. I think that's quite negative as well.
The one comment I'd make about Allaho, actually, it was at Leopardstown at Christmas. I was actually in the tent, and they came out to see him in I was too busy, of course, entered up in this best dressed man competition, in which I finished third. Mugged by a 75-year-old from Tipperary. But anyway, I went out for a glimpse at Allaho, and I know Willie Mullins' horses, they usually don't look the best in the paddock now around Christmas time. Like, they might be a bit fat, some of them, and some of them might be a little bit hairy, but Allaho looked desperate. He's a good-looking horse. Like, I've seen him at Cheltenham. He looked desperate. Ran very well. I don't think he was even half ready that day. I think, like a lot of Willie's, Chacun Pour Soi the same. I think, his run at Fairyhouse was excellent. Jumped very, very professionally for his only second start over fences. And I think he's of serious high class. Last year's Albert Barton, him and Manila Endo, there's no doubt about it. 2 very high class horses, and I think whichever one. Well, I think if Allaho goes for this, I would probably side with Allaho. And just an interesting one, an outsider, and I really, really, really hope she runs. And I don't know, Ronan, you might know on this. Salsaretta, is she already on the ferry on the way over? Is she already there already? I'd love to know if she runs. That's one question I wanted to ask David, actually. Her jumping is exceptional. Listen, her last day, 2 miles 6 furlongs, I stepped her up and trip. Soft ground won't be an issue to her. And so some of her form as well. Like, she'd be getting £7, I think, creeping around. You said Willie liked her, but some of the staff thought she was useless.
I don't think they thought she was useless, but I did ask her, especially for you, Barry, or ask him, not ask her. But he would mention he might try and keep her. There's a good mare's race at Limerick, but he's trying. I think he's going to run Ellie May there next week. But it is encouraging that she's been left in. Like, she's got past the forfeit stage, so he's obviously still thinking about it. Just on Allaho there, just as you're mentioning, can he reverse the form of Manila Endo? I think it seems pretty comprehensive that they're over fences now, but it's pretty comprehensive that Manila Endo beat him twice last season.
Well, I think actually Desi asked Frank Hickey, and it was very interesting because Frank was putting him up as his bet of the week for the Marsh Chase. And then it came to the RSA Chase, or whatever way it was, it came to, and Desi says, surely to God, he says, if you think he's the bet of the week for the Marsh, you surely have to fancy him here in a race that Champ is, he's my lay of the week. Manel Endo's only ran twice. He wasn't overly impressive. I know the form with Captain Siege is obviously working out well. Doesn't look a very deep race after that, and I just think I like him now. Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. There seems to be this swell of opinion that he should run in the Marsh, isn't it? Like, everywhere you look, people are saying, why isn't Allaho in the Arch? If he runs in the Marsh, he's my nap. All this thing. I didn't really totally get that either. Only to avoid Indo, I suppose, if you do believe that form will stand over fences. But both races didn't look amazing to me, so that was much of a muchness where he actually went. But yeah, it's amazing to hear that everyone, and you never know with Willie, he could easily decide to switch the other way late in the day either. So,
do you want to know my opinion for what it's worth?
Go on then.
I think he switches to the Marsh, and I think he wins it.
I think that could happen as well. Yeah, just considering how many people. Even Ruby said it as well.
Yeah, I reckon they think of this horse a bit like what Black Hercules was, where it looked like he was a 3 mile horse, and then right at the last minute they go, actually the 2.5. The 2.5's a softer race as well.
He was favourite for the 4 miler, Black Hercules.
Yeah. And then he fell, didn't he, in the 10 up, and they switched him back to the 2.5.
He was my bet of the week, Black Hercules, when he switched back. I backed him at 7-1. He was back there. But you know what? The interesting moment that race was Bristol Lamai didn't jump off. Am I right in saying, or Zabana fell off? Zabana didn't jump off that day. Not that it would have made a difference anyway. Lads, we'll come on to the Champion Chase. Altior, will he run now at this stage? I don't think it makes a difference whether he does. I was never going to be afraid of him anyway, because Chacun Pour Soi, one of the bets of the week. I didn't say he's my bet of the week, but Andrew Blair White, you love this horse as well.
Yeah, I really like him. Just in regards to the Altior thing, I wouldn't pay 1 minute's attention to it. It's just a foolproof way of Nicky Henderson saying that if this horse does get beat, he has a ready-made excuse ready to go. Oh, he wasn't working well and stuff like that. He said this a couple of years ago before he was running against Duvan, because they were scared shit of Duvan. And then Duvan fell and he won, and it was all happy days. And actually he was working great and stuff like that. It's just, like, I know people say it's Willie Mullins bingo. Like, this is just Henderson bingo all over this media stuff. I just can't have it at all. But I'm with you. I think Chacun Pour Soi will win this race. I'm really sceptical about Defi de Soy's jumping a proper 2-mile pace, because 2 of the 3 races he's running this year have not been run anywhere near championship pace. Chacun Pour Soi's race at Leopardstown last time out was run at Champion Chase standard against a good stick in Min. And to be honest, I'd be with you. I'd say he was barely 50% fit at Christmas. And he still came within 3 lengths of Epatante. I think he's a really good horse. And I think he'll beat the 2 of them.
He's a cert. Listen, I'm going to expand on Andrew Blair. We agree. We actually agree on something. Chacun Pour Soi, £10. I think he's going to improve £10. Now, if he improves £10, everything you've just said, I agree with it. Right? Defi de Sol, soft races. Undeso's been retired. The horse, I mean, he's jumping over 2 miles. Give me a proper 2-mile run race at Cheltenham. Let me then see what you're like. You know, Defi de Sol has already been beaten by Chacun Pour Soi punches. I get that Defi de Sol was after having 5 runs at that stage last year. But you could also say the opposite. What right had Chacun Pour Soi to line up at Punchestown, having only won a beginner's chase at Naas? What right had he to do that? Look, he progressed from his run at Christmas with Epatante. His jumping is absolutely exceptional. He jumped Min silly down the back on his second run. And I think coming around the bend, Paul Townend lets down the goggles, and you're just thinking he's going to go away and win by 7 lengths plus. He didn't do that because he got tired, because it was a strong run race. So everything you said is correct, Andrew Blair White. But I'm not sure does Ronan Groome agree.
Are you worried about the lack of Cheltenham experience?
No.
Versus the other 2?
No, not at all.
Why not? You should be.
I shouldn't be worried, because how many horses have went to Cheltenham that have never run a Cheltenham? This horses for courses thing, I think with Cheltenham can be overplayed at times. It can be, you can place too much weight on that. He's an exceptional horse. He's the best horse in the race, and he's probably going to win.
I just think there's an awful lot of talk. Defi de Soy is this really good Cheltenham horse. And look, he's got a decent enough record. He's won the Triumph. He's won a JLT. I get that. But the only strongly run 2-mile chase he ran at his toughest campaign, he was tailed off at Cheltenham. And even in the, what's it called? The race at the start of the year, the Schlur Chase, they went an absolute pedestrian gallop. Fiddlerontheroof was quickening the pace. He put in the mother of all hair-raising jumps and just got there and ended up getting by Fiddlerontheroof by 2 lengths. And Fiddlerontheroof goes absolutely nowhere near in this race. And as I say, it was run, I think I could have ran as quickly as they were going that day. So I just think Defi de Soy will be tanking coming down the hill to that trappy fence at 3 out and he will make a race-ending mistake.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't. Well, Andrew, listen, that's okay. I wouldn't be placing all my hopes on Chacun Pour Soi winning just on a definite mistake. I think he's actually just. I think he's just a better horse. I think his jumping down the back, he's going to jump himself, right? That's the first thing. But at Leopardstown, when, as I said, Townend pulled down the goggles, he's ready to go, and he got tired. That's not going to happen at Cheltenham. He's going to come up that hill because he's going to improve that 10 pounds for fitness. In my opinion, it's all about one day for Chacun Pour Soi, and I just think Ronan Groome that he's going to win the Champion Chase.
That's fair enough, Barry. You made a passionate case. Who am I to tell you you're wrong? I just be half worried about the festival, the lack of Cheltenham experience, especially against the two we're talking about here. We're talking about Altior, a 4-time festival winner, and we're talking about Definitely Decided, who's obviously won twice at the festival. In the red hot heat of the Cheltenham Festival, these proven horses he's against. So that would be my slight worry.
Look, I'll put it like this: if Envoi Allen wins the Ballymore by 5 lengths plus, and Chacun Pour Soi doesn't place in the Champion Chase, you won't hear from me on Thursday. Handicaps day 2. I've won for you the Boodles Theatre of War 14-1. Shane Lowry owns it. It's been teed up for nicely. Looks like a bit of a plot job. Andrew Blair White handicaps on day 2, which is a Wednesday.
Yeah, Theatre of War would be a strong one for me as well. I got that news from Gavin Cromwell when he was at 40-1. Him and Jonathan Moore wanted to put him up as their handicap nap, the two of them. They think he's being completely laid out for the race, which is good to see.
What date was that, Andrew?
What, sorry?
What date did he give that to you?
It would have been whatever my preview night was. Thursday.
I'm just checking back through my text messages just to see if there was anything that came through from you.
He's getting to a poor enough price now. I see he's 10-1 with Paddy Barr. Now you probably get 14s out there. That's not a brilliant price, but he still would be the one for me. And not in a handicap, but I think I just cannot see Appreciated getting beat in the bumper here. I know people are getting a bit jumpy about this Queen's Brook now, just because I think Jane Mangan put it up or something like that. He's an unexposed mare. She'd have a chance, but Appreciated is just an absolute machine. The 2 times at Leopardstown he's won have been brilliant. He reminds me of a seriously, seriously good horse, and I can't see him getting beat.
I fully agree with you about Appreciated. You're going to land a nice treble in on the Wednesday, aren't you? You're going to do the Envoi Allen. You're going to do the Chacun Pour Soi. You're going to do Appreciated in the bumper. You'll be doing all right. If Envoi Allen wasn't
Doyle in there getting a 4-timer up.
Sure, look, Jason Kiley now will have something to say about that. Ronan Groome, handicaps or anything else on day 2?
Yeah, no, I've become very interested after Andrew mentioned to me that Easy Work is in the Coral Cup. I don't know why. I was looking at the race earlier and just didn't factor him in that he'd run there. But off 147 there, he is very interesting. I think back at this sort of trip 2-5. And that's his form could look a lot better if Asterion Forlonge goes in and does it in the Supreme. Yeah, so I'm interested in him. You guys mentioned Theatre War, who caught my eye as well, and the bumper. Oh God, jeez, 6-4 was it? 5-4 Appreciate for Champion bumper. I mean,
Ronan, you don't back bumpers anyway, so you just don't even need to comment about that. You told us a long time ago.
Listen, yeah,
bumpers.
You guys, I'll let both of you go and get excited about that. But yeah, that's not for me. 5-4 on a champion bumper.
There was one horse, and I'm not sure. There was one horse, and I'm not sure if it goes for the champion bumper. Andrew, you might be able to tell me. But it might be interesting at a big price if it did go. There's a horse of Dermot McLaughlin's called Delvino. I think it ran second at Navan.
Yeah.
I don't see it on the Betfair exchange. I was actually searching for it 2 days ago, and I haven't checked the entries in full for the champion bumper. But Delvino, maybe she may go the Santa Rosa route, skip Cheltenham and go on to entry. But she's definitely a nice. I think she's by Dylan Thomas as well.
Yeah, she's not in the entry, so I'd say they'll go exactly what you said to that. That Geldings bumper, actually, even though she's a mare, go to that Geldings bumper at Aintree, and she could probably be good there.
Well, yeah. Listen, lads, we're coming up to just about to the 50 mark for part 1. We'll see you back for part 2 of the Cheltenham preview